Hey everyone, it's Yusuf from Crafting Cloud CRM Solutions, and in today's video, I'm going to show you a simple, straightforward way on how to create a Kanban board in Bubble. Let's go. So in Bubble, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into your plugins, and you want to click Add Plugin, and go and look for Draggable Elements by Bubble. You want to install that, then hit done. Okay. Now that we have draggable elements, I wanted to show you what exactly you got from draggable elements. So you got a drag and drop group, which is going to be basically your Kanban tile that you're going to be able to drag and drop. So this is that element. And then you have your drop area. So your drop area is essentially the columns that make up your Kanban board. Now, I did do a little data setup before this video. And what I did was I created two data types. So you have deal, and deal is essentially just just an example for this video. You can call it whatever you want for your own purposes. But for me, I just wanted to show, from a sales team perspective, being able to progress your deal through a pipeline. So that's why I created deal. Okay. Then another table you're going to want to create is called lane. So lane is going to be a separate table to actually define or emulate your columns in your Kanban board. So that's why we have lanes here. And you'll notice one attribute that we have is called deal status. And this is pulling from that status field that we have. Oh, actually, I didn't even create a status field here. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to go status. I'm going to put deal status. So it's going to pull from the status of the deal itself here, okay? And how I created this deal status was through an option set, all right? So it's basically a drop down of values. And the columns that we're going to have set up for our example Kanban board is not started, in progress, closed won, closed lost. Very straightforward, okay? All right, let's begin. So what I want to do is I want to first create on this screen group. So let me go ahead and create a group, and let's call that group group Kanban board container, and let's set this type of content to deal. Okay, I'm gonna also go to the layout. It's not fixed, it's gonna be a column, and let's go ahead and let's go back to, excuse me, here. Let's actually just expand this a little bit so it goes across the entire screen, okay? There we go, okay? The next thing we want to do is we want to create a repeating group, okay? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to create our repeating group. And in our repeating group, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to create a group of just one row, okay? Simple, like this. And instead of set fixed number of columns, we want to actually make it dynamic so that it matches the number of values that we had in our statuses, because we want to set up one column for each status in that option set field that I showed you, okay? And then what we're going to do, so right here, we're going to put the repeating group. I just want to go to my element selector, so group Kanban, repeating group, okay? And let's call this repeating group lanes, okay? And the type of content for this is going to be called lane, and we're going to do a search for lanes. That's it. Very simple. So when I say search for lanes, what I'm saying here is I want to pick up all the lanes that we have set up in our lanes table, and let me actually go ahead and show you what I mean. So let's go into our data. Let's go back to our data types for lane, okay? And what I want to do is I actually want to go into our app data for lanes. You'll notice right away we don't have any entries for the lanes table. So let's go ahead and create that, okay? So we're going to set up one for not started. Got it. One for progress. One for closed won. And one for closed lost. Okay, Now we're actually setting up our entries so that when we go back here and we said search for lanes, it's going to pick up those entries that we just put in. All right, perfect. So now what do we want to do? What we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to create a drop area. Okay, and before we do that, just want to see something here. If I do Kanban, do that. All right. I just want to check our layout a little bit, okay? So layout, let's not do fixed width, okay? And let's go ahead and let's change our min height. We'll do 480, okay? Let's remove, let's do min width of 192, okay? All right. And then let's change this to column. Okay, and there we have it. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're going to go back and we're going to add our drop area. Okay, so let's click drop area. You can just draw it within a repeating group cell. You'll notice all the drop areas now get duplicated across. Okay. And what we're going to call this is drop area lanes, okay? And we're going to say intersect. We're going to leave that like that. We're going to say lane, okay? And we're going to, the data source is going to be current cells lane, all right? And then for this, what I want to do is I actually want to change this so that it expands the full width of the column. So let's remove fixed width here, okay? Remove min width. And then let's just uncheck fit height to content. There we are. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and create a repeating group. So we have our drop area lane. So what we did with the drop area lane is we're allowing, we're putting in the element of draggable element so that you can actually drop a tile within that particular column. That's what the drop area lane allows. You're basically defining the area that you're allowed to drop a tile within, which we've just done. Now let's go ahead and let's create a repeating group. And we're going to do another repeating group within the drop area lane. Okay. So let me just go back into our element structure. I always like to make sure that we're putting it in properly. So there we go, repeating group. And this is going to be a repeating group of our deals. So that other table that I spoke of, okay? And we're going to do column here. Data type is going to be deal. Okay. Then we're going to say search for deals. Do search for deals. Okay. And then we're going to set up a filter because we only want these deals to show up within the column that for the status that the deal is in. Okay. So here we're going to say deal status equals, parent group's lane deal status. Okay, that's it. Now for the actual repeating group itself, okay, we want to eliminate set fixed number of rows. Okay, we don't need more than one row per column, we just need one. Okay, and for columns, we're going to leave it as 1. And then what we're going to do is I want to just change this layout. And for the layout, what I want to do is I'm just going to remove fixed width. Okay, put that to 0. Fit height to content. Let's remove that. Min height, 0. All right. So now we have a repeating group deal. Okay, so that's set up. Now we want to pick up that other element called drag and drop group. So let's go ahead and click that and let's draw it within our repeating group. Okay. And we're going to call this now Kanban deal tile because that's what we're essentially creating. Okay. And for the layout, we're actually going to leave it as fixed here. Okay. I'm actually going to change this. I want to make this a little bit bigger, and we can, let's see here, let's go to layout, Let's play around with this a little bit. Okay, 192. I like that. 96. It's better. Okay. And then we're going to do type content here. We're going to say deal. Okay. And then we're going to say for data source, current sales deal. Okay. Now, the important thing that you want to make sure is you want to say make this element droppable. Okay. And the behavior post drop is you want to move back. Okay. You don't want to hide the group. And what that means is once you put the drop, once you drag and drop the element, you want to move it back into the column that you intended it to drop into. Okay. So that's pretty straightforward. So now what I want to do is I actually want to just do a little bit of formatting here. So I'm going to do the flat white color here. And I'm just going to make this very simple. Okay. Let me just put our deal. Let's say, actually I want to go into our deals and let's set up some deals. Okay. Let's go to app data. We only have deal status and name. Let's add another field to our data type. So let's go ahead here and let's say for this, we're going to call this deal close date. Actually, I'll just put close date. Okay. And this is a date. Create. And let's go back into our app data. Let's start creating some entries. Let's go back now and let's actually create our tile with these new fields that we've set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a text element here. I'm just going to draw it like so. Okay. And for our text element, we're going to put right here, we're going to put parent groups deal and we're going to say name. Okay. And then we're going to create another text element here. We'll say parent groups deal status. Yeah, and display. Okay. And then another one, finally, parent groups deal close date. And let's format it as month, day, year. That's fine. Okay. Let me go ahead and just create a group for this. So I'm just going to group these into a column container. All right. And let's expand this now. So let's go ahead and we'll say let me get to this deal file. We're going to say group deal contents. Okay. Let's go ahead and just expand this a little bit. All right. And let's just make sure that this fits total. I'm going to remove the fixed width here for all of these. Okay, and remove the min width for all of these. All right. And let's take a look. So let me go ahead and let me just preview what we've done so far. So let me go back into our data. Let me go into our user's data type and let me run as myself, the user. Okay, and there we have it. Now, you'll notice this is not done yet, right? And it's nowhere near as pretty as we would like it to be. For this video, I don't think I'm going to spend too much time on making it pretty. I just want to show you the core functionality of the Kanban board and show you how easy it is to make one. So now that we're able to see parts of it come to fruition, you'll notice that we still can't drag these tiles into their particular columns. So what I want to do is I actually want to go ahead and go back into our workflow, okay? And we're going to create an event, and we're going to go element, and we're going to create one called a drop area has a group dropped on it, okay? So what we're saying is when the lane, so this the column of our Kanban board, when it has a group dropped on it, what do we expect to have happen? Okay, so what we want to do is we want to make sure first that for our lane, okay, we want to specify that this pertains to a deal. So when we have a deal drop into a particular lane, what do we want to have happen? Okay, and then we're going to go ahead, and what we want to do is when we drop that deal into a lane, we want a change to happen to that particular deal. So we're going to say make changes to a thing. Think to change, we're going to say current workflows deal. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to add deal status here, and we're going to change it to this drop areas lane deal status. Okay, that's it. So what we're doing is we're dynamically setting it so that when we take our tile, our Kanban tile, we drop it into a particular column, we want that deal to update its status to match the column status that it was dropped in. Okay, we want to go and add a conditional. So what we're saying is when this drag when this drag drop groups deal, okay, is, and then we should see an option for, hold on, I think I might have, is dragged right there. Okay, so we're saying when this when this tile is dragged, what do we want to have happen? So let's go ahead and let's do some formatting. Okay, so do background color, let's change this to, I don't know, a nice blue. Give me a second here. I'm just picking any random color here. Obviously you can match this to your branding for your app that you're creating. I'm just doing this for example's sake. Box shadow style, let's change this. Let's do this to outset. Box shadow blur radius, let's change this to 4. And box shadow color, let's change this to a black. Come on. There we go. Okay. Now, another piece that I want us to do is also apply some conditioning to our drop area lane. Okay. So you notice our conditional already has one. It says this drop area is dragged over. So this was already defined for us. But we can go ahead and we can change the behavior here. So what's going to happen is, what we're specifying is when that deal or that Kanban tile, when we drop it into a particular column, what do we want the column to change to that is about to be dropped into, right? So for me, I want to have a border, okay? And we're going to say border style, all borders. And I want it to be dotted. So that way when we're moving it, we're seeing that we're about to move it into a particular column, and that's going to show us visually by having a dotted border all around it, okay? Which is nice. And then border around this, let's put this to 10. I think it just looks more aesthetically pleasing. Border width, let's make this a little bit more prominent. And let's change the width to 2, okay? Let's see what we've done so far. All right, so now look at that. We've gone ahead and we've changed, we've allowed the ability for our tile, our group, to drag, our cards within each column here. And you'll notice when I drag it, it updates to the particular status, okay? And then we have closed lost. You see deal 4 updated to closed 1 when we move to the closed 1 column, and then in progress for in progress column, and then not started being the very first column. Now, one thing I noticed though is as soon as you don't have any columns, any deals within a column, the column shrinks, which I kind of don't like. So let's go back and let's see what we can do here. So we're gonna say drop area lane. Let's go to layout, okay? And let's see if we can do, Yeah, let's change the min width. Say that. Let's try that again. Let's go back. I think this might fix it. So now, yeah, you see that? So right away, the column width, I set the min width so that it doesn't adjust when we take it out of its column. It should still be there.